Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Common Gear podcast, where we discuss and dissect recent auction results from the primary digital auction platforms available right now, which is Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, and a few others as they land some significant vehicles. But we're an all Bring a Trailer lineup tonight, and for good reason, because these are very special cars. I think everybody on this particular call would do borderline illicit or illegal things for the opportunity to own one of these vehicles. Now, Lars was on a cruise full of hijinks last week, so he may have already done some of these illegal things that would earn him such a vehicle. I don't know, but hopefully he got something in return. So let's dive in. This first one, I had a visible or an audible sound come from the bottom of my throat when I saw this, which is a Eurospec 95 BMW M3, which would already be cool in and of itself, but it's the M3 GT, which takes an already awesome car that we didn't get and makes it even more fantastic. And it's wearing one of perhaps the best colors ever, which is this is not actually, I stand corrected. I was going to call this Boston green, which is the green we got here in the States. This is actually a genuine British racing green, which makes it even cooler. Holy cow. So, this was, like many cars these days, it was recently imported to the US. I'm always curious if these cars are being imported for enjoyment purposes or just in the hopes of flipping it. It's probably a little bit of both, but this is how many miles we have on it? It's 104,000 kilometers, 65,000 miles, one of 356 made. So this is an opportunity that does not come up every day. And basically, you got a potent car and they made enhancements, both from, I don't know if it was both, if it was mechanical or an aero or just aero, but either way, it was upgraded in a significant fashion. And I'm going to ask you guys that I wonder if this is somewhat close to what we got here in the States, which was the lightweights, the LTW cars, if this was similar spec. I mean, obviously not the motor, but if there are other similar, I'm just not sure. But this is a gorgeous example, 170,000, certainly the strong price, but for someone who has the means, is looking at this car saying, terrific colors, terrific spec, I don't have to do the hassle of importing it. It's probably what we could just consider money well spent. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I really like this car. I feel like the E36 M3 is kind of the, overlooked generation of the M3s in general. This, to me, is just phenomenal. Jeff, you said it. This is basically exactly our version of the E36 M3 lightweight, kind of the track focused, a little bit more dialed in for, stiffer suspension, stuff like that. But to be honest, I think it's much better than the version we got. The biggest thing I really can't get over with these cars is the fact that they got that completely different engine with the individual throttle bodies, different cams, different pistons, a whole entire different engine. Also, this one being in that, British racing green, beautiful car. I don't know if I totally see it being, close to 200,000. But with these auctions, the stuff we see and we talk about every week on Bring a Trailer, you can't really, even make those comments on the price, because as we've seen, there's always someone out there who's going to want to purchase the vehicle, someone who's going to want it for their collection. And, diehard BMW fan with a lot of money probably had a soft spot for this thing. But yeah, really cool car. And I've always said, last comment, I haven't always said, but I've always kind of thought the ideal BMW would be an E36 M3 with a S54 and E46 M3 engine. Light chassis, but still kind of modern suspension with, 350 horse. This thing's pretty close. I mean, it's a stripped down 300 horsepower lightweight chassis. Thumbs up for me on this one.
Yeah, I'm really liking this. And Lars, great job tonight with the selection. We're kind of in not only high price cars, but also homologation specials. For those who don't, this was built for that weird era of GT racing in the early 90s when we came out of Group C and we didn't know what that was going on. So really such a cool car. One of 356 GT examples. So
Yep.
this is a rare car we didn't get in the States. I totally get why this car is sold for $170,000. It's, you couldn't get it here. It's comparable to the lightweights. It's a true M3 race car. And, Jeff, we talked last week about buyers and psychology and, the type of people that buy these cars. So, kind of trending off of last week, I looked up what the buyer has purchased, and it's stuff we love. It's Renault R5 Turbo 2. He's also got an 800 mile M04 M3 6-speed. So it's all kind of reasonable stuff. I mean, the R5 went for 156K. This thing went for what, 170? I mean, these are cars that are only going to go up. That they're the classic cars of today. We talked last week about muscle cars and stuff like that. This is the unobtainium that of this generation that people, want, that who have the means to do it are going to buy these cars. And what's cool too is like this thing has miles on it. It's not some trailer queen or garage queen. It's 65,000 miles on it. You can still take it out. You can still drive it around if you want to. I hope you do. But I think it's a great buy. Hold on to it.
Yeah, agreed all around. Yeah, and I love
Phenomenal.
I love what he's bought. I mean, that R5 Turbo is stunning. And talk about cars that are rewarding to drive every day, but you could drive every day. The M3, as we know.
Yeah. And also just looking around, usually, I don't think I've seen another M3 GT up for sale on any site. So, I mean, this is the first of its kind, and who knows, this could set a trend. Maybe we get, maybe 6 months from now, we're talking about a 5,000 mile, GT.
Here's a question though, guys, right? So what do you think? So obviously it's the 25-year rule. That's what it comes down to. So, this car's 28 years old at this point, it being 23. So you could have imported them for the last 5 years. I was going to say, maybe it's one of the first ones, because I agree, John. I don't recall a time I've ever seen one of these for sale, at least in the United States. So I'm wondering if that's like, first blood, whoa, an M3 GT, 170K, or if, in 3 or 4 years, we're going to see like, oh, now they're, $250,000. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I suspect it's very hard to get someone overseas to let this car go. Right?
100%. I mean, they're going to want to hold on to them. That's peak 90s BMW motorsport right there.
Right.
That's a nice car.
It is. That was a great find, Lars. And I agree with the point made that it's going to be $250,000 in short order. So awesome find. All right, let's see what we got next. Let's see.
Top right, it looks like.
Yeah. I think there's one more in here. I look like an absolute idiot right now. Where is it?
There is one more.
Yeah. So we're gonna close this. Here we go. This is our second one. All right.
Whoa, baby.
So
look at that price tag.
Yeah. This I'm gonna look like the peon that I am when I offer my opinion on this thing. So 2011 911 GT2 RS, 5,000 miles, $625,000. This is just kind of an insane result. But it is one of, it's a manual transmission, which, we all know that's a shrewd investment these days. If you're buying a performance car, you're kind of an idiot for not buying one with a stick if it's an option, because those cars are going to be, perpetually sought after. Now, I'll be just self-flagellating and admit I don't know a ton about this chassis of the 911. I've started to kind of pay less attention to the newer ones simply because they're kind of all blending together a little bit. Now, if this were like one of the lime green ones with the script on the doors, that's a different car for me. That's something that does, check the box of being a little bit nostalgic at the same time. It'd be kind of a throwback to the original Carrera RS. But I mean, there's no doubt that this thing is a beast. It's obviously purpose built for the track. It's going to always be sought after. I don't know about this price tag because it's purpose built for the track, unlike the M3 GT, which is a car you could get in and drive to Cars and Coffee. I don't know how enjoyable, like I don't know what the noise, vibration, harshness level is in a car like this. So if you're using it for any other reason aside from taking it on the track, is this a pleasant car to live with? I simply don't know. Obviously the performance is bonkers. The equipment spec is, untouchable. And we all know history as a guide shows that anything with the RS badge is going to be, one of the most sought after Porsches of all time. So personally, this is one where I think the price is a little bit excessive for what it is, but there's lots of people who don't care. They just want the top spec 911, whatever it costs to get it. They just want whatever was the top dog for that year with the lowest mileage possible. And this may be that car for someone.
I will go ahead and say I slightly disagree.
God damn it, Lars.
I know it's a freaking terrible thing, but I will say I will title my opinion on this car with I had no idea. That's how I would summarize this. I saw this thing. What I do is I go to auctions, I go to results, and I just kind of scroll through, see what's going on. This one sold in November, so it's been 4 or 5 months. But I saw this and I just said I had no friggin' idea. There was another one with 2,000 miles sold for $700K.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. I will say though, so what it is, it's the GT3 RS with a little bit stiffer suspension, a little bit beefier suspension, and 250 extra horsepower. It's like if you sent your GT3 RS off to a modification shop and got it twin turboed. This car, again, unreasonable, a little bit crazy, and the price is definitely excessive, and I haven't driven one. I haven't been in one. I have been in a GT3 RS, which is my claim to fame. There's my 10 minutes. But from the reviews you see and just the footage you see of these vehicles, I think this thing is the closest you can get to just having an absolute demon vehicle. Just, something from hell. One of these, it's a tuned 911 Turbo S that's stiffer with no all-wheel drive and 500 pounds lighter. That's how I think about it. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of again, I had no freaking idea it was $700,000. I had no idea, but 500 units, it's rarer than an F40. It's rarer than a Carrera GT. It's rarer than a LaFerrari in Enzo. I mean, I don't know, John. What do you think? I'm with this thing for an ultimate Porsche collector.
I'm glad you point out that there's a couple of those that went for $7Ks. A few back in 22. There was one that went for it had 2,500 miles and went for 776, and then the other one that was 160 miles went for 777. So. This is almost I guess you'd say this is the deal of the recent GT2 RSs. So, imagine the Porsche Turbo, take the all-wheel drive out of it, give it power as a GT2, then just make it even more bonkers with an RS.
Even lighter.
It's
even
kind
lighter.
Of, it's almost, when Porsche does these GT2s and the RSs of this, it's like, this is the capstone of that era. This is the capstone of the 997s. This is kind of their salute to that platform, and before they start unveiling the next one. So they've this is kind of the trend for Porsche to do this. And so that's what makes these cars rare. It's this was number 486 out of 500. Absolute bonkers car. I'm not crazy about if I was gonna nitpick here, I'm not crazy about the color, about the white with the carbon hood. It just looks
you're right. That's not a good spec. I just chose the first
one.
one.
I know. I just linked the other ones. Give me the silver one that went back last year, or maybe even the black one that I think was from 2018, which is crazy. So I think 2018, one with 4,000 miles went for 350,000. So these cars have doubled in price over the past few years, which is absolutely wild to think about.
Yeah.
Like what else have we seen that's
997 has its
just
day.
doubled?
Yeah, right.
Whew.
Yeah, I think it's those are all excellent points. That obviously the top spec is always going to be king of the hill, no matter
Jeff,
what.
one more thing.
Yeah.
So as we like to see who the winners are. The winner bought that RS2 Avant that I had sent you an email about.
Oh man.
That is interesting to do. If you look at who's buying these cars, I've been doing that recently, and it's like some of these guys, it's like, yeah, man, we got the same taste, but I just don't have the coin that you do.
Yeah, I just I'll take a look here.
Yeah. So
these, oh wait, no, this isn't.
No, it's already sold. But go down and then you see that
I see.
that RS2 Avant.
Okay.
Wow.
I'd sent you an email on because it's in our old stomping ground.
That guy probably made some serious money on that thing. That's incredible. Yeah, look at this. I mean, this is just money in a thing. I mean, he is buying whatever he wants.
Wow, he got that 6-speed 599, huh? That's like that.
But look at the cars that look at the cars that he bought. There, a lot of them are kind of race cars for the road. The Viper GTS R. He also got that Pratt and Miller Miller Corvette.
Look at that C6 RS.
Bonkers. And then if you scroll down, he's got a 968 Club Sport. So this is a person that really kind of loves race cars for the road. Really cool.
I mean, he is buying, to your point, John, this is all stuff I would love to own.
Yeah, it's stuff that the three of us would be like, and I would have that in my garage.
Twin turbo GT. He's a nut. He loves that stuff.
But look at this. He just went off. He just dropped his pants and said, here's the winning bid. I'm not going to hang around.
Oh, one bid.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, I mean, but for a buyer of this type, who has that history of kind of race cars for the road, like this is it. This kind of fits that mold for them.
And alive.
He buys it all.
That's unreal. That is absolutely unreal. What a collection. Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm depressed now.
On to the next one.
So, okay. 1990 M3 Sport Evolution. So this is the similar to the E36. This is the top dog of the E30 M3 line, and probably the most classic color combination, which is black with the red inserts on the bumpers. These came obviously with a variety of upgrades as well, but also you had the gunmetal basket weave wheels. That was a distinctive feature of the Evolution cars, and I believe that you got I think these were factory. I know the M cloth was standard in the Evolution. I think the seats were standard as well.
Yep.
But and then a dogleg gearbox, which was a nice to have feature. I can't remember. I feel embarrassed admitting this. It's the E30 M3 with a dogleg as well. It may have been. But in any case, this is a kind of a wet dream car for anybody who loves the E30 M3. This is the car that I remember when I first went to the forums 10, 15 years ago when I was E30 shopping. People were talking about the Evolution spec back then. This was the car they all wanted. This was the car on the proverbial bedroom wall poster. And truth be told, it's given some of the crazy prices we've seen for standard spec E30 M3s but low mileage, I'm actually wondering if you call this a little bit of a bargain. I mean, it's not cheap by any means, but you're talking about one of the most iconic sports cars ever made, and the classic head-to-head is with the 190 Cosworth in the Evo 2 spec, and those cars are pretty reliably selling on that for north of 200,000. I think some have actually even crested 300,000, and typically the E30 M3 the standard E30 M3 usually beats the pants off of the standard 190 Cosworth. So this to me is an interesting result. I don't think it's you're not walking away with it, but I think it could have gone for more too.
Yeah, Jeff, as a huge E30 guy, I mean, this is it. This is the best as it's going to get for the E30. Um, just a cool little thing to point out. The US version we got of the E30 M3, I think it had 189 or 191 horsepower, something like that. This stroked out to 2.5, 238 horsepower, which a lot of people put like the S50 or S52 from the E36 M3 in their E30s. This thing's got it making 100 horsepower per liter with the factory Evo Recaro seats, the best drivetrain with the dog leg. I kind of agree with you. I think considering that we've seen some low mileage standard spec E30 M3s, nothing crazy, silver, white, black, nothing even too crazy, sell for in the six figures. This thing, how many of these did they make? It's like 600 of them, 500 of them.
Let's see, put that number button down. Let's see. 600.
600 of them. I mean, I actually think this is a pretty good deal. And you can, you guys can look through and scroll through the pictures on your own accord. But some of the shots in here, I mean, you look at this thing, and I know it's been 33 years. So yeah, this looks like a classic, but in another 20, I mean, just seeing this thing at a car show or on the road, that is like, if you look up sports car in the dictionary, that's
Right.
what's going to come up. That I think it's a great buy. 600 of them, 240 horsepower out of the S14. It's a great spec of a vehicle. Love it. Totally love it.
Yeah, this is the we talked about the RS for Porsche. The Evo was that version. This is a Group A touring car or rally car for the road. I love it. I am, this was the one I got really, really excited about when you sent this over, Lars. I mean, I think this is a really great deal. I mean, what was it? $197,000. I mean, you look at what else they've gone for. There was one that had over close to 120,000 miles on it. That went for a 150 on Bring a Trailer back in January. There was one with 23,000 miles that went for $250,000 back in 21. So
yeah, this is a deal, man.
So I think this is the car. I mean, it's just so impressive. It's 80,000 miles, as you said, the 2.5 with the dog leg. This car, if you look at the comments, it appears this car sold at Sotheby's a couple of years ago for over $200,000. So the seller, maybe lost just a few bucks on it, but these are the classics.
He did lose a few bucks though, huh? That was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, but when you have this much money, I'm sure you can do that. It's perfect. It's really perfect. This is the car that I think anyone's going to want.
Man, look, 212.
212.
Look at that thing, guys. Look at that thing. Oh my, look at the wheels, they're 16s.
Yeah.
On that little body. That thing is, oh my God. And the seats, the red stripe, the wing, it's just the box flares. That thing is awesome. Look at that Euro antenna too. Really cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is a group. It's a Group A. It was 100%. Made for racing. It's a Group A car.
It's the only reason it exists.
I'm interested to see if what's going to happen a few years from now if people start bringing in, other versions of this car. I think they made additions for the various drivers too that they did. And I'd love to see what those go for. Or even what's going to happen if someone brings, what was it, the South African 333 over at some point?
Oh yeah.
What's going to what will that go for?
With the big six.
Yeah.
Also, last thing to throw out, it's like 15 to 20%. It's 50 horsepower more than the M3 that we know.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing's no slouch. I bet you this thing actually,
it goes
along pretty well.
And it addresses kind of the one gripe about these cars, which is always that they were a little bit underpowered.
Not this one.
Not this one. No.
Yeah, the buyer. This is probably my deal of the day, I guess you would say.
Yeah, oh yeah, yes. Let's end on that note. So John, this gets your vote as probably the one that you feel the best about.
Yeah, granted, I love the GT. The M3 GT is a very close second, but I think when we think iconic and something that's gonna, hold its value, it's always gonna be something that goes for big money. You're talking E30 M3 and Sport Evolution. I mean, this is something it's that blue chip stock. Yeah, this is what it is. This is a blue chip stock. It's always gonna get people's attention. It's always going to be there. Like, these cars are always going to be up in value. They're always going to be people are always going to be in awe of them, So I would say this is kind of my win of the day.
Mm-hmm. Lars, what about you?
It's not the E36 M3. Definitely not. Honestly, it's a cool car, but I don't know about 200 grand. The GT2 RS. I don't know. Probably the M3, to be honest, because at the end of the day, the GT2 RS is cooler. It's faster. It would make me laugh more driving it. You'd be such a savage to drive that. You'd be like, yo, look at that guy. Like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, my heart says E30 M3 Evo. The history, the people who built it, the people who had their hands on it that were bolting in the fenders, like M division, So for that reason alone, probably the M3, E30 M3. That's a piece of history, where it was built, why it was made. So probably that one. Yeah.
I'm gonna go outside of those and go with the E36 M3.
Really?
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, hell yeah.
That to me is just I think it's the colors. That's a big factor for me. Is that it's a car in question wearing distinctive or special colors, and I think as much as Lars, you and I share a love for the E30 100% all day long. I've always I don't think I've ever been as in love with the car as my departed E36 M3. That was just a very special car to me, and I think personally that to own the ultimate spec of that car would always be a bit of a thrill.
Wow.
That being said, I do think the E36 is probably going to plateau at some point, and the E30 will keep going. I think the E30 will continue to gain value in specs like this one, the M3 spec with the Evo trim, whereas I could see the E36 M3, particularly a standard Euro car, is probably going to, I don't know. I don't think the future is as bright for those as it is for the E30s. So I think
I think one thing that hurts this car, the E36, is pedigree. I mean, we're all racing junkies. I mean, when you think BMW racing, you think E30s. You think, watching old DTM footage and BTC footage from
100%
the late 80s, early 90s. And granted, right, they did race, but like, they did race the GT Coupe, but like, you name the series. I know they raced them in some German GT series and whatnot, but they don't have that special pedigree that the E30 has.
100%.
Yeah, that's the greatest point, because when you're looking at like value and collectors wise, John, that's what's going to sell it. And at the end of the day, the E36 M3 and the RS, like you said, you see that Evo and it's like, whoa, that thing was on the track. That was the one. That's a really good point. I agree with that.
This was a great roundup, Lars. Thanks for finding these cars.
This was a fun one. These were the typicals, like the cliche cool cars, but it's good to do that every once in a while.
Yeah, but again, we saw some tremendous prices paid for these cars. The 911 in particular, you're just like, holy cow, that thing accelerated.
I had no idea.
What does anyone know what they go for new?
It's the same as a GT3 RS, 186 with no options. It's the same. It's the same.
Really?
If you can get one at MSRP, but it's like a friggin'.
Yeah, that's like kind of thing.
is only 240, I think, new. Out the door, if you bought it from Porsche, I think it's 240 for sticker, which you're not. But to really get one, call it 350.
Yeah, because it's like what makes those cars so valuable? Like what makes them 600,000? Is it name and just the limited, what you have of it?
I think, dude, guys, I haven't driven one, and I have no empirical physical evidence, but guys, I think
It's bonkers.
This car is a demon. I think the GT2 RS 996, and I don't think it's making 600 horsepower like they say. I think it's probably making more like 650. That thing, Porsche always does that. The way people talk about these, probably the craziest 911 experience that you could probably have.
I think that takes us to the end. Great job, Lars, on these finds. Thank you guys for your thoughts as always.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you all for checking us out. We'll be back next week with another roundup of intriguing finds from the popular digital auction platforms. And check out thecommongear.com, where we allow you to store and track your digital records of your car, no matter whether it's one of these or something slightly less exotic. We're there to keep those records safe. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next week.
Cheers.